beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, which is your reasonable service. But we all struggle. We all struggle to present our bodies. Maybe not all. I have struggled. Still struggling. But I'm not struggling from a place of defeat anymore. So it is my joy that I get to share my sexual purity struggles with you, the moment I have goofed, and how I walk victoriously through his strength.
Chocolate! What's up? Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yes it has, and I'm so glad I'm having my vulnerability session with you.
It's my pleasure.
I'm nervous. Oh, goodness gracious. So you're welcome to Mending Bridges, the show that inspires you to live a chaste, focused, and purposeful life. My name is Chinemere Blessing, and I'm not your host today. I'm the person on the hot seat. I have my friend here who's going to be hosting the show today. So thank you for joining in. You're welcome, Aviv.
Thank you. It's a wonderful privilege to be hosting this particular edition of Mending Bridges, and I would like to ask, why did you decide to do this?
Okay, so my vulnerability session tagged sexual purity, the times I goofed. I guess recently I sat down and realized that, wow, it's almost over 6 years since the last time I had sex. And it's amazing how I got here. And I thought to share my journey with different individuals who might be struggling with being chaste, who might be struggling with being sexually pure, because a lot of people feel it's no longer the norm to wait until marriage to want to have sex or keep themselves really, and why they should be waiting to have sex until marriage. Should we even be waiting at all till the wedding night to have sex and all of that? So share my struggles, share my joys, if there's anything like that, and basically help people learn and be inspired by my story. Over 6 years, it's a whole lot for me.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a whole lot of stories to tell.
Absolutely.
From your journey, how you got to a certain point in your life where you've had to go through abuses and all of that.
Absolutely.
And then having to make mistakes, and then having to refine yourself and redefine your journey yourself. How did this journey start for you? What were the factors that led to you deciding to go on this sexual purity journey? And did you envisage it was going to be 6 years? It's going to or extend beyond 6 years when you were going to start?
Okay, so it wasn't planned for me. I mean, it wasn't like I woke up one morning and decided I want to be sexually pure. I mean, I'm happy that you know my story, so you know where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where I really do like sex. Okay, of course, in my early years, I didn't decide. I always tell people that I didn't get the privilege of deciding whether I wanted to lose my virginity early or keep it till I was ready to get married. It was taken from me at a very young age, you know, but at the point where I grew enough to make the right choices, when I became an adult, when I could decide whether or not I wanted to be sexually active or not, I went on being sexually active, and I enjoy sex. And I tell people that sex is a beautiful thing. I know that the world has perverted it now, that people hear the word sex and they cringe. But for me, wanting to be sexually pure wasn't something I woke up one morning and decided to. I feel it was something that I evolved into. I would say I evolved into it because the more you grow in your work with God as an individual, the more you have a better understanding of what He expects from you as His child. I remember I used to say a lot that I wanted to keep myself until marriage. You know, after I had some failed episodes and all of that, I wanted to keep myself until marriage. But the truth is, I'm in that point where now it's not about waiting until marriage. It's about understanding that this is what God expects of me. He expects me to be sexually pure. And for me, this is like my highest form of worship to God. This is like, to me, it's, I don't have anything else I can give to you. I can't give you money. I can't give you food. You don't eat. But something that I really love, but I'm willing to let it go as a way of saying, I adore you. This is the best form of worship that I can give to you as my God. So yes, it's not a thing of either I'm waiting to be married or a decision that I made. I just evolved into it and realized that this is what God expects of me as His child.
So the next question I'm going to ask you, shall we take a walk?
Absolutely. Okay, so where are we walking to?
Let's just take this Sure.
Okay.
So the next question I'm going to ask you is about the journey.
Okay.
Um, at the point you were going to make that decision, where were you? And then right now, where would you say you are? Like as a person, how has the journey been? Like what has changed in that period?
Okay. So it's been over 6 years now, and I remember the last time I had sex. So it wasn't exactly like I was dating this person. We were just friends. We liked each other, but nothing was really defined. Okay, so one thing led to another. You know how you get comfortable with someone and then the act happens, you know. So when you're called, I felt disappointed in myself. I felt bad. Not because I had made a vow to God. Of course, I had vowed to myself because something had happened some years earlier before that I told myself that I wasn't going to put myself in that situation where there's no definition in a relationship, or that I would end up having sex with someone outside of the institution marriage. Okay, and it's one of the reasons I say that saying you want to keep yourself until marriage for the reason you don't want to be sexually active or be sexually chaste is not tangible. It's not it doesn't hold so much water, right? You should have a more solid reason for you to say you're being chaste. Okay, so I had sex with this person. I regretted it. I felt bad. What I did different from the last time was this time I went back to God in prayer. Unlike the previous time where it was just me throwing pity party, regretting why I gave myself to someone who didn't value me or didn't respect me. This time around, it wasn't even about the person. I didn't put any blame on him because I gave him access, right? We both wanted to do that. It was consensual. Thank you. But this time around, I went back to God in prayer. I felt really disappointed in myself, and I told him, you know what? I don't want to be in this situation ever again. I really want to do this and do it right. Okay, and I think that was where the whole journey into being chaste started for me, you know, and yeah, that's where I was then. Where I am now, so I'm in this place where I'm not doing it from the position of fear or guilt. Like, I'm not doing it from a point of it's by my power. I do it from a place, something Apostle Paul said in one of his books in the Bible, that if there's one thing I do now is I forget what is behind me and I press forward. He first starts by saying that, friends, I do not consider myself having achieved or having attained, but there is one thing I do is forget what is behind me and I put my gaze on what is ahead and press towards that. So I'm not exactly going to say that I have it all put together now, that, oh, I'm all perfect, I'm all awesome. Absolutely not. But one thing I do is I fight from a place, fight in quotes now, from a place of it's not about me or what I'm able to do or can't do. It's about resting on a God who keeps me in check. But of course, as human, I also try as much as possible not to put myself in precarious situations that can trigger me to do what I'm not supposed to do. Yeah, setting boundaries, absolutely.
How were you able to go through this process? Looking at the 6 years, how easy was it for you? What were the challenges? How did your body comply? Were there vulnerable moments? Your near breaking moments? Just tell us about it.
Sorry that I'm smiling, but I can't help it, especially when you said if my body complied. The truth is, I believe our bodies, they have a mind of their own. It's more like you're fasting. It's days where you're in a fast that you start feeling hungry. And before a fast, you could go like 3 days without eating at 12 or 3. But the day you decide that, okay, this week or this day I want to fast, your body starts craving food as early as 8 a.m. So I wouldn't say it's been easy. The first 2 years, I would say, were the toughest for me. Toughest not because I'd been actively involved with anyone prior to that time. I would say it has been like on and off. So I've not been in any active relationship in like 10 years. My last relationship was in 2010. I broke off because it was around the same time I gave my life to Christ. But between 2010 and now, I've had situationships moments, I've had entanglements, I've had flings. You know, you're with people you're not exactly sure what it is you're doing with them. And yeah, very recently a relationship that didn't work out. Okay, so they were the toughest because my body desired the touch of a man of the opposite sex. Now, I wouldn't say that I don't feel that way till date. There are moments where I still want someone to hold me. There are moments where I feel like actually do having sex. Okay, but I think I'm in that place where I understand that the fact that I'm hungry doesn't necessarily mean I have to eat food. Okay, because if for every time you feel like taking sugar, you pick up sugar and eat, you're at risk of diabetes or any other thing that can be the result of taking too much sugar, right? So first 2 years very tough. It was tough. I would have nightmares. I would think about so many things. I think the one of the things that really helped me was a book a friend gave me as an undergraduate. It's a book by Samadhi, Sex Straight Talk. And reading that book, I realized that a lot of things actually do trigger us, right? That we're not even aware of. So in reading that book, I realized that, okay, my triggers, music, right, was a trigger for me. There are certain songs that I had to put away. I realized that movies to certain scenes were triggers for me, and being in a particular place with certain type of people, especially when I know I really like this person, I'm attracted to them sexually, it could be a trigger to when I'm always around them. So that book actually did help me to understand that the kind of songs that we expose ourselves to, they can trigger us sexually. So in knowing that, and I mean, I'm old school, I listen to some really old songs from Boyz II Men and all the likes, and you know, some of them can be really explicit and descriptive in their songs, their lyrics. So I decided to put some of those things away so that they could stop triggering me. Movie scenes as well. I started selecting the type of content that I exposed myself to. So it wasn't exactly easy. I had moments where I thought of orchestrating scenes where it could happen, but somehow I won't say I had good friends around me. I made sure that I was deliberate also in taking myself to places that would help me grow, such as going to the church, being active in fellowships, you know, doing things that will make me more productive as opposed to having more idle moments, because when you're idle, such thoughts come to your mind. Another thing I'm truly thankful for is the fact that I've never really had any reason to want to masturbate, because I've had people share stories like, oh, since I'm not sexually active, they took to masturbation. But for some reason, it has never really crossed my mind to touch myself. I think I'd rather get it done than get myself done, if that makes sense. You get it. So, yeah, so basically for me, it's being deliberate in the things that I expose myself to, the people that I expose myself to. I'm still a very touchy person, you know, but I'm aware of that now. So I try as much as possible not to put myself in situations where I cannot control myself. And I've had moments where I missed it.
Tell us about the goofy moments you had.
Okay. I was hoping, well, we say it's a vulnerability session. So, okay, I've had this moment where I was with someone that I really did like. And I'm a very touchy person. One of my love languages is physical touch, you know. So there are times where I want to cuddle. And if you're a lady, you're around somebody who doesn't understand that all you want at that moment is cuddle, you might be in a very vulnerable position that the person will take advantage, and you find yourself not even saying no to it. So I found myself in situations where, you know, we started kissing each other. It took something hitting my head to realize that, okay, Chichi, don't go further and all of that. I've had moments where my bra straps had already been unlocked. That was when my brain came back to reality. I've had a particular moment that hurts me mostly, where I goofed, but this was over the phone. It wasn't like it was a physical thing. That's why I tell people that don't try to play with fire. Don't say you have it all put together, because at that moment I actually thought, at that time when that happened, I thought I had it all figured out. There's a part of the scripture that says, "Let he that think he stands take heed lest he falls." You know, I thought in my head I thought I was standing, but I actually fell. So the music thing started because this person probably knew, okay, I liked good music, I liked proms, and you know, I was taking all of that in. I'm an adult. I had every right to nip that in the bud and, you know, let the person know that this is a trigger for me. But I think I was just enjoying it. You know, I took it all in, and at some point we got to a place where he called late at night. Ladies, please, if you're watching, try as much as possible. Don't take, you see all those late night calls. Avoid it. Trust me. It causes a lot of wahala. Avoid it. So he called one night and we got talking. We've had several nights of long hours conversation and all of that. But, you know, I think either, I don't know if I was ovulating that period or my body was just receptive to a whole lot of rubbish that period. He called that night and we got talking, and somehow one thing led to another. And this guy was saying he wants to see my nipple, and Let me just laugh it off. I'm sure you understand what happened, and I goofed. I felt very bad because I thought that at this point in my life, I shouldn't be making such silly mistakes. I found myself asking myself questions like, so what if that guy had taken a screenshot of you showing your nakedness via the phone, or you being stupid over the phone? What if, and yeah, I think I went back again, and the normal I'm sorry, I goofed and all of that, and I think I pretty much understand certain things that I feel this season basically, or this past years of being chased or staying off sexual activities. I think what it has opened my eyes to is the fact that I'm human. I have weaknesses. Whatever it is I want to do without, I can't do it on my own. I also need to be conscious of the fact that I have triggers, right? And if I don't want to eat something, there's no business. I don't have any business sniffing it. Just basically flee, like the scripture says. Don't try to wait and see. Is this person going to have sex or not? Is this going to end in it? Just try as much as possible, because we have adults who are not mature enough to know that you can actually cuddle and you won't graduate to the next step, or you won't go beyond that, So know what your triggers are, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and try as much as possible to stay off. Flee, basically. Don't try to check and see. You just might fall. No, you will fall. Thank God that my nipples is not everyone on IG right now. Because honestly, I felt really bad after that episode. Like it was I don't know how we got there, but he requested it. Beyond that, he actually went further, and I feel sometimes when you're with someone and you really do like them, which is, I feel it's harder for people who are in a relationship, right?
Being
you get, and you're justifying things in your head like, but I like him, man, but we're going to date now, and we're dating, and we'll get married now. So what's there? I guess those were the things I was doing in my head, and I just felt, all
right. So the next question I would ask you is about the journey from here. Are you willing to go like the whole 9 yards? Are you willing to stretch this as long as possible, or like are you at the point where you feel that maybe some things have to change, maybe some adjustments need to be made, or you're just willing to go the whole journey right now as long as it takes?
Well, I'm willing to go the whole 9 years, if I'm to use your words. So the thing is, like I said during one of the episodes on the show, that the next for me is going to be the last. So hopefully I can get to have legal sex then, but I'm not looking at compromising. I'm not looking at having to be with just any random person.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, having to go back to God and start asking for forgiveness again. I think I've had enough of such episodes. I have an understanding now of what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, how far is too far for me, and I try as much as possible not to go too far, or not even go at all. I'm not in a relationship now, so I believe I'm in a safe space, but it doesn't mean that I still can't find myself in precarious situations. So I try as much as possible to guard myself, make sure that I don't lose my guards or let my guards down. Sexual purity is something God expects of everyone, whether you're Christian or Muslim. I believe it's something God expects everyone to do. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. This is your reasonable service. So God expects us as a form of worship, as a form of service to Him, to be chaste. So I'm willing to go the whole 9 years as it stands now.
All right. So the last set of questions is about how you'd like to motivate people who like to take on this journey too. So let's talk about maybe people that are having issues with masturbation, for example, and they feel that that's an escape for them. If they don't want to be sexually active, they can easily just masturbate and get away with it. So how would you what would you say to this set of people?
I'll first start by saying, you need to understand that the fact that you're not in a relationship with someone and you're touching yourself, you need to understand that it doesn't exempt you from being sexually impure, right? It's not an excuse to say, oh, you're not doing it with someone, you're doing it with yourself. God still frowns at it. And I tell people that masturbation is even worse than having sex. Like, it messes with your mind. It messes with even your sexual life at the end of the day when you decide to be with a partner eventually. So there are triggers to all of these things. I mean, people who fornicate, they have their triggers. People who drink alcohol, people who steal. For everything we do, there is usually a trigger. There is usually a root cause. So I want to say that first, identify what your trigger is. I mentioned earlier that I had to read a book by Pastor Sam Adeyemi, Sex Straight Talk. That book opened my eyes to a lot of things that we are not aware of. So you need to understand that you have triggers. Something is triggering you. That is why you're masturbating. Is it that you're idle? Is it that you're watching pornography or something, or you're watching certain movies that they have scenes that are explicit? So you need to first find out what your triggers are. That way you know how to manage it. Because if you don't understand what your trigger is, if you don't know what the problem is, preferring a solution will be very difficult. I can easily tell you, do this, do this, do that. But I need to know what your triggers are. You also need to know what those triggers are, being aware of those triggers, and decide to be deliberate, because you have to be deliberate. If you don't make up your mind that this is a problem and you need to address it, then it will remain the same. So know what your triggers are. Be deliberate in wanting to address those things. Stay away from those things that trigger you to want to touch yourself, because it is a sin. It is wrong. It messes with your mind much more than sex itself.
Okay. So the next question is for those that are battling this purity itself, this sexual purity. So a lot of people would say, my body, I can't resist the urge at certain points. I have to just give in. So these people that are finding it difficult with the urge, the body pushes them, and then when it gets to that point, they throw away every other thing and just let it go until they satisfy that craving. They are not letting it go. So how would you motivate this set of people who feel that who cannot handle the pressure of the physical urges? Do they pray? Can it be prayed away?
Well, I'll start with prayer. I tell people that pray about the minutest of things. It might sound silly, it might sound strange or cliche, but the truth is, you can pray about basically anything and everything, because God is interested in every aspect of our lives and is aware of our struggles, is aware of these challenges. Okay, so if you present it to Him to say, Lord, I know you're aware, but I'm just coming again, being vulnerable with you, saying this is my weakness, or these are my weaknesses, I need you to help me. God answers the minutest of prayers. You just need to take it to Him in prayer. So yes, you can pray certain things away, but you have to do the work. You know, the scripture says that faith without work is dead. So if you're praying and after praying you go and watch pornography, I mean, you're just tempting yourself. So pray about it, but there are things you also have to do as individuals. It's very difficult, especially when you're in a relationship. I tell people that it's safe if you're not in a relationship now. So if you're still single, what you want to do is get a partner whose values align with yours, who understands that sexual purity is something that you're supposed to adhere to or uphold as children of God, right? That way, even when you're weak, He can help you to be strong. And when He's weak, you can help Him. Like if you are coming from the same point of view, if you have the same understanding about these things, it's very easy. It's more easier for the both of you to fight the temptation together and win, such that when you're the one feeling horny, He can tell you, babe, I understand. He will probably even cuddle you, pat you, and let you know, babe, you know we can't do this, right? You get, when he's the one feeling horny, you are telling him, babe. But if you are sexually mad, he's sexually insane, and both of you, hormones are raging everywhere, at the end of the day, you're pulling pants and bra, you're doing stuff, right? So if you're single, you want to be sure that before going into a relationship, be sure that your partner is mature enough. Be sure that you're also working to be strong in that area of your life. If you're already in a relationship, you want to be sure that you're having these conversations over and again. Decide, what do you want? Is sexual purity a priority for you? Because if you don't understand why you want to be chaste, if you don't understand the essence of being sexually pure, then whatever it is I'm saying or suggesting to you will just be a waste. So you have to get to that point where you're convinced about what it is. Do you understand that God expects you to be sexually pure? Do you want to be sexually pure? That way you're fighting from a place of knowledge. You're fighting from a place of what God expects you to do, and it's easier for you to yield to what the Holy Spirit can do for you, right? So you have to have an understanding first. If you're in a relationship, say we're dating, for instance, I have to understand that I want to be sexually pure. We don't want to do this till we're married. We both have to have an agreement. For instance, the guy I was dating before I gave my life to Christ in 2010, he was a fantastic guy. I can say it anywhere, everywhere. Okay, he was an amazing guy. He took me the way I was. I was still drinking and smoking at that time. He knew all of my vices at the time, and I came out there. I've always been an open person. Even before I gave my life to Christ, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But of course, at the time I gave my life to Christ, I knew that it was important for me to grow, for me to develop myself, to become a better person. And we had a conversation. I called him. I said, guy, I've given him, he was when he invited me to his church, right? I told him, guy, I answered after call, you were there and all of that. And what I have been told is we cannot continue having sex. Do you think we can have this relationship without sex? And he said, no, that we'll be having sex for all this while you now think we'll be in it. And and that was how I broke up the relationship, because it was clear that being in that relationship, there was already a clash of values. I didn't leave him because I didn't like him again or something. That was the major reason I left him. And I still fell afterwards anyway, but God already, I feel it was just time for me to move on with my life at that time. Okay, so the both of you need to have an understanding of what it is you want to do in that relationship as partners. Then pray. Prayer solves a lot of things. Trust me. God answers the minutest of prayers.
All right.
Thank you so much for that question. People don't get to talk so much about the effect of child sexual abuse and that aspect of the fact that it messes with your mind, because as a child, you're exposed to something that you're not supposed to at a very early age. It messes with your mind. It messes with your cravings. It messes with how you see even the act called sex. And yes, I had to go through that phase myself until God helped me and I had an understanding of what sex was created for, right? So if you've been sexually abused or sexually assaulted, either as a child or something that happened very recently and it's messing with your mind, because we've had people who are nymphos, and if you check the reason why they are that way is because of being sexually abused as a child, and they just crave sex, anybody, anything, they are good to go. I need you to understand that you're not alone. I need you to understand that there is nothing to be ashamed of. First, you want to seek help. First, you want to get an accountability partner, someone you can trust. There are various organizations that you can reach out to, because you need to go for therapy. You need to go for counseling. It's not normal, right? So first thing first, subject yourself to therapy, subject yourself to counseling so that you can have an understanding, because a lot of people don't even understand why they are the way they are. Some people don't even understand that it's the child sexual abuse that is affecting them, that is causing that sexual craving in them. So you need to go for therapy, okay? And again, I keep repeating it. Understand that there are triggers. There are triggers to these things. Whether you've been sexually assaulted as a child or not, and you actually want to live chaste, you want to start your life afresh, and you're saying to yourself that you don't want to do this thing anymore. You want to wait either till you are married, or this is just your way of saying, God, I honor you. I want to worship you with my body. Understand that there are triggers. There are things that want to fight that decisions. But you have to be deliberate. You have to be disciplined in saying, okay, I understand that when I listen to this genre of music, it triggers me. So delete those songs from your phone. I had to delete several songs from my phone. Like, I kept it for later, maybe when I'm married, my husband and I. So delete those songs. You have some movies. Stop watching them. Stop going to that site. Stay away from social media for a while. Stop visiting those pages. You know what triggers you. So stay away from those things whilst you trust God. An accountability partner really works. Talking to people about it, your weaknesses, talking to people about it helps a whole lot. So you're not alone. If I can, I tell people that, hey, me, over 6 years of not having sex, I have to thank God. Abib, I know what I am saying. I used to, my boyfriend, before I gave my life in 2010, I orchestrate the meeting. I plan it. But I'm really thankful to God that I'm not that person anymore. I love the woman that I am now. I love my new me, and I'm still scratching the surface of what God is molding me into. It only gets better, but there's just this, I don't know, there's this peace of mind that just comes with knowing that you're just purity. Comes with, I don't know how to explain. Peace of mind, there's this self-esteem. It boosts your self-esteem. It makes you appreciate yourself even more. There was a time that I would stand in front of the mirror and I hated the woman staring back at me. Okay, but right now I stand naked and I admire myself and I just say, you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're an amazing woman, and it comes with being sexually pure. A woman of God, yes. So you can do it. You just have to put your mind to it and avoid those things that trigger you, and pray about it. Pray about everything. God hears the minutest of prayers. He does.
thank you very much for sharing these
Thank
thoughts
you.
with us.
Thank you.
I'm sure that a whole lot of people have learned how this journey is
I
and
hope so too.
how to go about it if they really want to. And then if you really want to, if you need further questions, if you need further counseling on how to go about it, I'm sure you can follow us on Instagram at Mending Bridges, and then also reach out to therapists, reach out to counselors. There are so many organizations that are willing to help, and I believe that it is doable if you really put your mind to it. Thank you so very much, Chichi,
Thank
for
you.
sharing your vulnerabilities with us. And it's like I said earlier, it's a pleasure to be on Mending Bridges, and I hope to do this again sometimes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Till we meet again, keep living a chaste, focused, and purposeful life. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.